Hello and welcome to the Civil Service Heads Together podcast, a product of the Civil Service Future Leaders programme, where two civil servants meet virtually and converse about their own experiences. We are passionate about well-being and mental health, and we recognise that talking about it can really help, particularly during a global pandemic. We hope you enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Jeff, and today we'll be talking to some of the members of the team behind the podcast and asking about their experiences of the lockdown. So, Thomas, what are you looking forward to once it's all over?
Hopefully I can meet my team, as I joined the civil service in August last year. I've been in the office only twice. Once to pick up a laptop and once for induction, and that's it. I didn't meet my teammates or wider team yet, face to face, as we don't use the cameras in my organization. Then hopefully, that will be something new and exciting. Meet everyone.
And how about you, Sharon?
Can I just come back on something Thomas said, that he said he's looking forward to meeting his team? I actually thought he meant us lot. I actually thought he was on about having a night out and drinking with us, not his actual work colleagues. I was very disappointed, Thomas.
I see you every Wednesday.
If you haven't had a drink with me yet.
I see you more than my team.
Yeah. You haven't bought us all a gin and tonic yet?
Gin and mojitos we're going for.
No. I've been poorly on them. I can't have them.
So, Shah, what do you think life will be like when we go back to the office?
I really do not know actually what's happening in my office, because since the lockdown started, on halfway through, I moved it to another sector within MOD, and with the new people, I even do not know, apart from one people when I went to pick up my laptop, I do not know how they look like, apart from just listening their voice. We don't even have a video facilities to have on the meeting. Is a audio Skype. So all I hear their voice. So I even do not know how they look like. And I even do not know how my line manager look like actually. And I even do not know that's where I'm going to sit and how is my new offices look like. So what arrangement they have. Where is the canteen? Have they got the facility for coffee? Because that's I very much like actually when I'm working. So there is a lot of uncertainty and worry at present I have. And also I'm find out since the lockdown started, I lost the routine I have. Like, I mean, I know that, I will shave in the morning, dress it up, go to the office, go do shopping on certain day, and other things. But at present I'm totally mess. And what I noticed actually, sometimes I'm leaving home, I'm leaving the key, mobile phone, wallet, lot of times, because this type of suddenly happening, and I'm just keep losing, and then I come back again to get my wallet. So I think it's have a big impact on me at present, I like to say.
And how about you, Anna?
I think my office is a bit weird, because for us we're an operational department, so they want an operational 24/7 presence, and that includes every department, even if you can work from home. So they basically said to us, we want you in the office as much as possible, but they have that horrible thing of, like, my department used to have 64 desks, and now social distancing we have like 14. So they're trying to kind of like do a split thing where they're like, we really want you in, but we can't have all of you in. And I think they're trying to kind of work out all the logistics of it. So in theory I should be in the office at least 3 times a week, but that depends on everything. And also, interestingly, they were doing surveys about who wants to come back in, and I think overwhelmingly for us it was the younger people that wanted to come back into the office. I don't know if that's the same in all your guys' department, but I think, I don't know, maybe I don't want to say we're more sociable because that sounds mean to anyone slightly older than that, but I don't know, like, I just like going into the office and having a chat. Like, I've been quite enjoying going into the office, and I mean, for me, I've been going through the pandemic anyway, so it's not too big of a big change for me. I guess if you've gone from working from home all the time to going straight back in, it would be a bit of a situation change, and it would be a bit overwhelming for people as well.
regarding how you work from home, or like in my case, with my colleagues, it looks like we can deliver whatever has been put in front of us, all the goals being delivered, and we're working everyone from home. There's not, in my team, there's no one, or even in my wider team, I think there's no one who's actually going into the office, and all the work is done. I think the blended way will be the way, once, maybe twice a week in the office, just to catch up with the team meetings and stuff. But majority of the work can be done from home, at least in my perspective.
And what's it like where you are, Kelly?
Yeah, we're doing a bit of blended working, but because we're operational, most of the time we're in, but there are certain things that we can do from home. But I was just going to say that personally, I really, really struggle with home working. And actually, I much prefer being in the office, and I like the distinction between office and home, and I really like being able to, finish my work at the office and then go home, and I like that little commute. I haven't got a very long commute, but I just like having that time where I can wind down and then I can go home. And I used to be a teacher, and I was constantly working at home for years and years and years, and actually, for me, I prefer that distinction between home and work. So my line manager is actually quite good in that, talks to us about our mental health and our well-being quite a lot. And if we feel, we need to come in and actually see people, because we're an operational team, then we can do that. And that's sort of really worked for me, to be honest, because I don't do very well just sat on my own all the time.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? Is some people are actually at home on their own. Some of us have got big families, so coming away from the family home is actually more of a bit of a peace and quiet thing. And other people actually need to get away from being at home because they're alone. So we've got to remember that everyone's lives are sort of slightly different, aren't they, outside of the office?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to add that, for me, I live in a house share because I'm relatively young, can't afford my own home, probably ever, but that's a different point. There's 6 of us who live in a house who are all young professionals who are all working from home. And not all of us have a desk in our rooms. Sometimes we have to all work at the kitchen table. So for me, that's not really a prime working environment. At least at work, I have 3 screens. I have people from my team that I can ask questions to. Whereas at home, you've got 3 people who are all trying to have meetings at once, which isn't really very feasible. So the whole working from home thing is great in theory for a lot of people. If you have a desk, if you have a study, that's really nice to be in the comfort of your own home. But actually, if you don't have the luxury of those things, then it's almost a bit more of a struggle. I don't particularly like working from home because I don't like having the privacy where I can just go and shut myself in a room and do my work. I have to be around other people that don't do the same job as me, which I find really frustrating.
And how well is working from home going for you, Shah?
Well, apart from the office environment or going back to office, I find it actually a little bit challenging when I have a youngster, because I have a 10 months old baby boy now. He will be 11th within actually 13 days time, 11 months. And I find out it's actually is very challenging. I cope it with. Mainly I'm actually worried about my wife because she's now is a young mom. This is our first child. And the support she needs, actually, I don't think due to the COVID-19, the authority able to provide that. And I'm still worried about my wife. That's what's going to happen as a long time. There's the health and safety concern actually, because there's a lot of things when you have the baby, the local authority offer. We haven't had none of those actually due to this COVID-19 situation. So that is actually another uncertainty we have in front of us.
How comfortable is everyone with the idea of going back to using public transport for their commute?
Sign me out. No commute for me. Jump on a bike and off you go. That's my commute to work. Yeah, half an hour. No trains. All sneezing, coughing people on it. Even before, I was like, oh no, please don't. Stop coughing. always catch something. Nah. Only my transport. Or work from home. That's my view.
I mean, for me, it's like, again, it's a weird one. Like, I don't get paid enough, unfortunately, to afford a car, or I suppose I could afford a bike if I really wanted one, but like, we had this at work where they were like, obviously, if you take public transport, we don't expect you to come in. And I was like, but I take public transport everywhere else. Like, work for me is no different. Like, some people don't have a car to get to work or get into town if they want to go out anywhere. Like, for me, it was almost a bit like a oversight to be like, oh, if you come on to public transport, you won't make you come in, because those people who are coming into work on public transport are probably already using public transport anyways. And actually, like, I've been using public transport since May last year, and I felt more comfortable on buses than I ever have, because they social distance. You're only allowed a certain amount of people on. You don't sit next to people. Everyone's very clean on buses, because I think everyone's very concerned that it is a public transport, and germs might spread more easily. Like, everyone I've seen on the buses, particularly when I go to work, has hand sanitizer. When they get on, they clean their hands. When they get off, everyone's wearing masks. Like, for me, actually, the bus probably feels more safe than a work environment, because we don't have to wear masks at work. So,
I personally don't think I will be feel comfortable because of my wife and my children. My son. I think that's actually, I'm worried about them more than me. So I wouldn't be actually using public transport at all. Either I use probably car, or probably the same is like what Tom said. Either I take the bicycle. But I do not know, bicycle may take a little longer than Tom, or any other transport. But I wouldn't be traveling on public transport just because I'm so much worried about my wife and my son.
Does anyone's office have any kind of plans to get the social aspect of working in an office environment kick-started again?
There is a one I am organizing at present. With it will be taking place on 1st of July 2021 within our DISCOM, that's actually Joint Force Command Department. I'm actually organizing a social events with few of my military colleagues. So bring all the colleagues together, because I know how hard time I have in this lockdown. I thought it should be nice to do something positive. So at least I could try to actually make little bit of my colleagues' life better. So therefore, that's what I'm doing, organizing it with 3 other military colleagues, and that's what I'm doing actually. Yeah, I'll be very happy to involve if anybody else have any kind of events they are planning.
Well, my managers are really good. They hold well-being with quite a high regard. So I'm planning a well-being sort of day. I mean, historically we've done lots of like walks and bike rides and lots of active stuff outside. So I'm really looking forward to planning something as we go into the summer, so that we can all get together, we can all be outside, and we can sort of spend the day together without the pressures of work. Sort of a bit of a team bonding day, really, and just to sort of see people socially, I think, because obviously we haven't been able to do that for over a year, whereas historically we've sort of done something at least perhaps quarterly. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I was just going to say, like, for me, we've had like team members leave, or like one of our team members went on maternity leave. Like, you can't like hug them or say goodbye. Like, it's just like socially distanced gifts, and then you just never see them again, because like you said, can't have the social aspect. So for me, even just being able to like stand within a meter of someone to say goodbye would just be quite nice, because you kind of lose that. You kind of forget that people at work are also your friends. You see them every day, you discuss, or at least communicate with them every day. It's nice to be able to actually do things like we kind of used to, like the office Christmas parties and like maternity leaving parties or leaving dues. Just getting back to normal would be quite nice. That's quite an overused phrase recently. What is normal anymore? But yeah,
to actually meet them for the first time.
I always like that bit where someone comes back into the office after like a night out, and you can tell who's hungover. Like, it's just the fun things, you know.
How is everyone with the idea of coming out of the restrictions we've all been living with for over a year now?
I was going to say that I think, you can't, even though perhaps people think that they've sort of coped okay during the lockdown. I'm not making any judgments about anybody, but I think, the way that we sort of interact and operate, professionally and also personally has changed in such a massive way that I think you sort of can't really underestimate how it might have affected you. And lots of people think that they're actually okay, but colleagues and friends of mine, when they've gone and done normal things, or what we sort of would have perhaps previously considered normal, actually they've sort of struggled a little bit. And I just think we've all just got to be a bit mindful, though we're all keen to get back to normal, that actually for some people it's a bit of a slower process, and we've all fought our own battles during lockdown, whether it's because our family circumstances have changed or whatever else. And I guess, it's just really being mindful that professionally and personally it's been quite difficult for all of us, and it's going to be an interesting transition.
Yeah, I was just going to say something along the lines of Kelly, is that me, obviously, just because the rules say one thing, obviously lockdown is coming out of it, doesn't mean that everybody's necessarily going to be comfortable with that. Like, for me, if I see friends now, it's quite common to be like, are you okay if I hug you? I think everyone should be mindful that just because the rules say one thing doesn't mean that everybody's comfortable with everything. Like I said, like, lockdown's changed a lot of things. People might have higher anxiety. People might just be slightly more on guard. People might have family circumstances that they want to be more protective of. So yeah, it was literally just reiterating what Kelly said, is just be mindful of people's situations, and that lockdown easing doesn't mean that everybody's own personal rules have changed.
All I'd like to add, actually, we all know that we all gone through more or less effect on the COVID-19, and what I have learned, that life not going to be the same what it was before. So I just closed the door, because the life I used to have before COVID-19, I never able to have that one, and I just need to now open a new windows and expect the way the life is now, and go from there. Because the more I'm going to compare what I have and what I had, the more upset I will be. I never able to actually be see my colleagues and hello and just hug my colleagues. Hi, how are you? I will never able to do that. I will still keep a distance, and rather than shaking hand, just shake on the elbow. So this type of thinking is the little things I bring as example. If I think that's over and over, I get upset. But if I just give up of that, and I think that, we are going through is kind of a war, probably you can say, even if it's a pandemic situation, is kind of a war. And now we just want to take the life as a new, and don't compare what I have and what I'm going to have.
Has it been hard for anyone else to let go of how things were previously?
Yeah, completely. I was going to say, I think I spent a long time hankering after the kind of old life. And for me, my situation, and I don't think any of you know this, but I split up with my husband in January 2020, and we were living kind of doing a little bit of time in the home each to keep it normal for my children, and then of course lockdown, and I was living with my parents a week on, a week off, and then lockdown, and then we had to live together even though we were separated throughout the whole lockdown. And so I've kind of spent a long time wishing that my life was still normal, pre-lockdown, but I was still within that relationship and within that family unit, and that's my own personal struggle, but I suppose I totally agree with Shah in that we can't keep hankering after that life that once was, because things are different. But there's got to be a period of adjustment for people, and people have to come to terms with that. And I think that's very difficult, because our whole existence actually has completely changed. And me, for one, regardless of the end of my marriage, the way that I'm living my life, I have struggled with coming to terms with how different it is, personally.
Sooner or later, we'll come back to more or less normal, isn't it?
I hope
It's not like
so.
it will never be the same. I will give it a year
Can
or
you
two.
say that with conviction? I don't know.
I 100%. It will go back to maybe not exactly being the same. Maybe people will be a bit cleaner, and
Right.
yeah, I'm not going back on the public transport. But yeah, I think it will go back. It just needs a time, and now slowly we'll just. I think that there's some good stuff which came out from that as a civil sector. We proved, at least in my organization, that you can still do the work, not necessarily being in the office all the time. And as many people they do like go to the office just for interactions. I think everything, at least in my organization, everything can be done from the office, from a home. I don't mind going to the office, meeting people, and seeing, but as that can be done, I think that's a way forward. That's a future. Maybe not for operational officers or operational units, but stuff like IT, easy. That can be done from home, and probably 99% of work can be done from home in that kind of a department. And I think that's a way forward. That's a way into the future, where not necessarily you have to commute to the work every day.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because I've said I don't like working from home because I prefer being with people, but it's an interesting one because I think if home working is sort of thrust on people and they don't want to work at home, it's great that people can, and if they want to, that's wonderful. But I just wonder what will happen if people are thrust into home working, and what will be the impact on their well-being and mental health if actually that's not what they signed up for. And I know it's part of a new normal, but I don't know. I just wonder long term how it will affect people. Just that kind of isolation, again, depending on their circumstances. But if people live alone, that could be quite challenging potentially.
Yeah, for sure. But not every work can be done from home. There are some jobs which have to be done face to face. Not necessarily the governmental job, but doctors, bus drivers, key workers. That still have to be done, isn't it? And then regarding a struggle of being lonely, I'm pretty sure that there are people out there already who live by themselves and they struggle with that. It's just if you need help, you have to reach out for it. Don't make people guess. Maybe he wants to talk, maybe he doesn't. Just I'm coming with the assumption that if I need help, I'll just reach out and say, like, listen, can we talk? I've got this problem, or can we meet?
Yeah, I suppose it's just recognising, isn't it? If people are line managers and well, not even recognising, but giving people the opportunity, like you're upfront and you'll be honest if you need to talk, but not everybody likes to admit that they're struggling. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Definitely, I suppose it's just something for people that line manage to be aware of, really.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, just to recognise. Do the team meetings, maybe. Yeah, makes sense.
I just bring on the Kelly's point one that Kelly mentioned. Is it something you could able to say that if something to do with the criminal conviction and stuff like that. Now it's all depends on Kelly. That's how you looking things actually. Like what's you giving as a more priority. Like for me, if I took it as a more priority, what is the more priority in my life? My son. And if to make my son happy, what I need to do? I need to have a good job. I need to have a very good relationship with my wife. I need to actually be a decent man. Now, which one is going to measure that actually? So same actually, if somebody come from just from a criminal conviction and he's working now, what we looking for from this person actually? Is he still doing that? Is he now overcome the situation? Is he good worker? So it all depends on what perspective you are looking for, because in life everything not possible to look at in the same angle. Like when I'm in office, like at present 9 to 5, I'm a MODIS officer. Everything I see as a MODIS officer. I talk to people as a MODIS officer. Same as a policeman, immigration officer, immigration law enforcement. They think as their own actually view. But the minute we cloak up and we become actually a father, a wife, husband, a wife is a totally different circumstances. And we see things actually on that way. So it's depend what platform and what angle we're looking for.
Well, thanks everyone for taking part. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again in the next podcast.